What's up, Shadow Nerds? Welcome to my Hall of Shame and Poverty. I watched a movie last night that some of y'all have been asking me like crazy lately what my thoughts are of it. Sean, did you go see it? Tell us what you thought of it, please. We're dying to know. We're sitting on the edge of our seats. So I'm going to answer that because I always do what the fans say. And by all of y'all, I mean one of you asked. So I'm going to tell that because I give the people what they want. I went and saw Fantastic Four tonight. Now, before I get too far into this, if you've seen my channel, first of all, like and subscribe. Second of all, you know that my DC Comics knowledge is way up here versus my Marvel knowledge is like here. Okay? So, with that being said, I did have to do a little homework and research on the Fantastic Four. Now, obviously, I know who they were, I know their powers, etc., but to really get deep into this universe and have a meaningful discussion about this topic, I can't just come in here and be like, the Thing punched hard and that was cool. No, I gotta tell you for real. So, I had to get my study on and I wanted to tell you what I thought. I went and saw it last night. I thought it was good. I know a lot of y'all don't even think I really do Marvel. X-Men comic right there. Ghost Rider. Iron Man. I got a Loki statue up top that you can't even see. So no, I am not anti-Marvel. Just a little bit more of a DC fan. With that being said, Fantastic Four definitely deserves its 83 or 84 or 85 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a damn good movie. I don't have any problems with it. In fact, I don't think there was anything that I disliked about the movie. I enjoyed the casting, all of them. Fun fact, there was like 4 or 5 characters or actors that turned down these roles because there wasn't enough money. And they were interesting actors that you might be surprised, go and research and check it out. Was Marvel being cheap? Or were these actors being divas who wanted too much money and was smelling their own poo too much? Go and check that out. Anyways, I had no problems with the cast. When I first saw the previews a couple of months ago, the girl that plays Invisible Woman, I can't think of her name, but I mostly remember her from Hobbs and Shaw movie a few years ago. She did great. All of the actors in this did great. I actually have a lot in common with the Fantastic Four, okay? And I think that's what made this movie so relatable. Not just as a parent, which I'll get to in a little bit. There's a lot in common with these characters that I think people forget because the last movie was so ass and the ones before that weren't bad at all, but we've been struggling to get a good Fantastic Four movie. You know, the Human Torch, I have a lot in common with him. When I say flame on, it usually means I'm going to... And if that clip doesn't load, then we just had silence for a couple seconds in memory of my cringe. Second one, The Thing. I have a lot in common with him. I've been accused of being chiseled like a Greek statue and been confused with looking like a brick wall, just like The Thing. Okay? Mr. Fantastic. That goes without saying in 2 reasons. One, I'm sure I like to stretch the truth like every other human being, and I'm just straight up fantastic, so that's obvious. And the Invisible Woman, in the sense that I am invisible to women. That didn't have to be in there. Anyway, so yeah, I can relate to all of them. What made this movie so good? I think the 1960s retro future setting was the lifesaver of this movie. I think if this movie had been set in today, it wouldn't have landed as well. I think the technology in the movie was great. Again, it was 1960s, but it was also a future. You got a mixture of the Jetsons, for those of you that are old enough to know who the Jetsons are, style in this movie, as well as it also gave a Batman the Animated Series from the 90s in the sense of the settings, the cars, the buildings were all 1950s-esque, but the technologies was modern day. And I think that's what we got in this movie, and I think that's what made it so good, was this setting. I think it did a lot of favors for this franchise. It was really refreshing. This is a family that is from those days. It was really popular back in the 60s. You know, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, and all them, when they created these characters, this was the era that really did well for them, and they've kind of teetered off in popularity ever since then. Especially in the MCU. Where are they? We haven't seen them, but we will. Anyway, so yeah, the setting was incredible for this. The actors, again, great. Silver Surfer, let's talk about her. The girl who pretty much stole the movie. I'd say she heralds our beginning, she heralds, his beginning, she heralds our end, she heralds Galactus, okay? A lot of people, when they first saw this, they're like, oh my god, Silver Surfer's a woman! I'd be lying if I said I wasn't one of them. Okay, I thought, oh great, the certain culture got a hold of this, and here they are. Nope, not the case. Shala Bal, forget her name, is a real character in the comics. She was created in the late 60s, actually. She is the original Silver Surfer's love interest in the comic book history. Okay, Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer that you see in the first Fantastic Four movie, sorry, the second one here. She has always been his love interest in the comics. She's played a pivotal part in some of these comics, so she has been around. There's actually a comic in which she is the Silver Surfer herself. I think it's called Marvel X or Marvel Eternals, I can't remember. I want to say it was like 2010-ish. I can't recall specifically because I don't write this down, man. This all comes off the top of the head. So, but she was a Silver Surfer in like a 14-issue comic run. So technically, this is not something that Marvel just pulled out of their ass. Oh, let's make Silver Surfer a woman to make people upset, blah, blah, blah. No, she has actually been the Silver Surfer in the comics for a short series. And because she has a direct tie to the most famous Silver Surfer of all time, Norrin Radd, in being her booty call or her love interest, it's really nice to see that Marvel didn't just make up a new character for no reason. She actually has connections. It's legit. I'm totally cool with that. And let's be honest, she stole the show between her voice, between the acting, between the look as well. All of it's great. Probably the only woman that actually looks better completely covered in silver than she does in real life. No offense. So yeah, they did a really good job with her. One of the things on Silver Surfer that I really appreciated that they did in this movie was they actually incorporated surfing. Who would have thought? They did do it in the one a couple years ago when Silver Surfer was in it. A little bit, but not nearly as much as this one. She had some great surfing poses. There was a couple situations where she was like surfing through a lava pipeline, which is pretty freaking cool. Trying to outrun a dwarf star, whatever it was that was going on. Yeah, so she stole the show for me. So yeah. Anyways, with all of that being said, how was Galactus? Was Galactus a giant moving cloud? Well, if you have a brain cell and you saw the trailer, no, we know he was an actual character that we could actually touch, feel, interact with, see with our own eyes this time, versus the Galactus version that was in the other one, in Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was nice. That was the biggest criticism of that movie, was Galactus was just a giant cloud/hurricane that came down to devour the Earth. It was awful, so it was really nice to get an actual giant version of Galactus. They did great. We don't really get any fan service in this movie, which is actually fine. In the first Fantastic Four we did. Invisible Woman, there's a scene where she pops up, she's in her underwear, playing on the invisible thing, and it was a cheap shot for all the men out there. I got you. But in this movie that didn't happen, and it's okay. It was not the vibe of this film. If that's what you're looking for, sorry. But they played on something else for the woman in this movie. She was pregnant. This film, really pacing-wise, was very quick. It was only an hour and 55 minutes long. And within the first... Pick number 3, my lord! Within the first 20 minutes, we get... That was a Shrek reference, if you don't know that. In the first 20 minutes, we find out who the Fantastic Four are, how their origin story is. Instead of actually showing us an origin, they kind of sped through that. Like I said, we find out she's pregnant, and we get introduced to the Silver Surfer almost immediately. I actually really appreciated the pacing of this movie. There wasn't too much downtime. There wasn't too much filler going on. It was really refreshing to see that. So, with that being said, yeah, she's pregnant. Now, I did not know this. I was not aware of this because, again, my Marvel knowledge, piquito. Apparently, their son, which I'm still not sure how the son of an Elastic Man and an Invisible Woman apparently comes to create God, a celestial being who is capable of devouring planets, creating pocket universes just like that, in Franklin Richards, their son. I was not aware of that. So I was like, why does Galactus want this little baby? Now I get it. Now I understand. Okay, so that was kind of pretty cool to see. It's something that they've never done in any of the Fantastic Four movies before. We never got a chance to meet their kids or Sue being pregnant or anything. So she's pregnant, which automatically throws you a lot of worry, right? You're like, oh my god, Invisible Woman should not be in battle. What's she doing? That ups the stakes a little bit. It's going to make Reed Richards a hell of a lot more frantic because I got to make sure my wife and baby are okay, right? So that ups the ante. Half the movie she's pregnant, and then they get to Galactus. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen the movie yet. He induces pregnancy. He's like, yeah, you're going into labor. Boom. Okay, and you're like, oh crap. I mean, unless they said it and I missed it, I don't know if she was 7 months pregnant. I don't know if she was 9 months pregnant. I don't know if she was past due and she's like 43 or 44 or 45 weeks pregnant. I don't know. It didn't matter. Galactus was like, yeah, the baby's coming out now. I want it. He's going to take my spot so he can be the next Galactus. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Mind blown. Either you give me a baby or I destroy the Earth. To me, it seems like an easy choice. You can off and we're leaving. And that's what the Fantastic Four did. Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're not giving you our baby. This isn't the Mayans. We're not going to sacrifice our children, okay? Or the Aztecs, whoever did that. I can't remember. Anyways, we're not going to sacrifice our kids and save our planet. We're just going to beat you up and save the planet and run away. So that's what they did. Fast forward, he comes. They win. At the end, kind of predictable, especially because it follows along the first steps or the steps of the Rise of the Silver Surfer movie a year ago, or a couple years ago, where they go to beat Galactus, and one of them is going to make a sacrifice, and at the very last second, Silver Surfer comes in and saves the day, essentially, basically sacrificing herself to save Earth because she feels guilty for basically bringing this Devourer planet monster of Galactus to Earth and all these other planets that he has destroyed. She, at the very last second, comes in to save the day, pushing Galactus into this kind of transportation device that they had set up. So yeah, it was really cool. Couple touchy moments in there as a parent. I'm not going to lie, there was a point where I teared up a little bit. Not just as a father, but as a parent in general. Anytime a baby's involved, it's sometimes it can be hard to watch. You're like, oh my god, I don't want anything to happen to that baby. There's a part at the end, again, spoilers if you haven't seen it, sorry. The mom dies, right? Sue dies, the Invisible Woman dies, and it's kind of obvious as to what's going to happen, but it's still heartbreaking to see. Franklin, the baby, who they've been wondering the whole time if the baby had powers, even though Galactus said it did, they're like, yeah, I don't know about that. He can't even sit up on his own. All he does is sit around and eat and fart. And yeah, so the mom dies. They try CPR, it doesn't work, and the baby lays on her. You kind of saw it coming, but it was still hard. The baby lays on her chest, puts his hands on her, and he basically revives her, which is awesome. But as a parent, I'm sitting there and I kind of welled up a little bit because the thought of a child losing their parent like that is just, it just got to me. You know, my son just turned 6 a few days ago, and so it's hard not to connect those two. So again, I guess I relate to the Fantastic Four in another way. So I'm glad that they included her being pregnant in this film because it does add a lot more high stakes to everything. So anyways, it was a great film. Now let's get to the post-credits scene, okay? I'm going to keep this brief and very short because we don't know a whole lot. At the very end of the scene, again, spoilers, she comes around, this is 4 years later, she comes around to see Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr. holding or talking to Franklin Richards as a baby, as a 4-year-old, and we're like, oh my god. We know that Dr. Doom is the leading main villain in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie. If you don't know much about it, please watch the trailer, and you'll see that, and when he also revealed himself to be the Dr. Doom actor a while ago. It's going to be a big deal. It's a huge deal. I think it comes out 2026. Now, if you saw Thunderbolts, the question is, how does the Fantastic Four get into the MCU? We know that they're in not a shared universe, but an alternate universe. But apparently he's trying to bring them over here so that the Fantastic Four can interact with all of our other characters. Your Deadpools, your Wolverines, your X-Men's, your Captain Americas, your Thors, and all that, right? At the end of Thunderbolts, in their post-credit scene, they look up into the sky in modern-day New York, in the MCU. The Fantastic Four ship appears out of nowhere. We know that they're capable of warp travel, but that's completely different than traveling to different multiverses, right? So at some point we know that the Fantastic Four come over here. How they do that remains to be seen. But how they do that is what leads them to be a part of the MCU for the Avengers Doomsday movie. Now, the Robert Downey Jr. character, Doctor Doom, he's in the Fantastic Four movie, so we know at some point he has to come over here too to be part and be the big baddie in the Avengers Doomsday movie. How does he do that? Or is he already in the MCU and he went to the Fantastic Four because they gave birth to the most powerful being in all of existence? We don't know. A lot of questions. But that's what happened, so that's something to look forward to. All in all, should you go see Fantastic Four in theaters while it's still in there? Yes, it was a great movie. I literally have zero complaints. I mean that. I really do. Everybody was great. The setting was great. The music was cool. The villains were awesome. Silver Surfer was a great bonus. Herbie the robot was cool. So you should go see it. Take your family. Take your kids. Speaking of your family and kids, if they're not subbed, why? That's bad parenting on your end. Tell them to like and subscribe to my channel. And with that being said, Shadow Nerds out. Have a fantastic day.